Toy Story is an absolute classic Disney film thanks to its talented voice cast, its witty humor, and its lovable characters. But while some may think it is just an innocent child's film, there is actually a much more adult theme being portrayed by these films. And in today's video, we are going to be exploring the more serious side of the series. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. First up, Disney snuck a brutal message into these films. As I have previously mentioned, the Toy Story franchise is one of, if not the most beloved children's film franchise on the planet. And while these movies are incredibly charming and fun, that is all surface level. The writers really did intend for these films to have a much darker hidden meaning behind all of them. And while you may think that I'm going to be doing some deep dive analysis on the films to bring out some ridiculous theory that I had to stretch to get to, you're wrong. I really don't have to go very deep in order to see the message that these writers wanted to put in this franchise. In fact, it is so surface level that I can guarantee you anyone who has seen a single second of any of the films has seen the moment in which the dark message is portrayed. And if you don't believe that the films have been hiding dark themes in these films, let me explain an obvious dark plot in the Toy Story franchise that I'm sure you have heard of. Lotso, the pink bear from the third film who acts as the self-loathing villain of the movie, yeah, he is actually a metaphor for Adolf Hitler, and the other toys in his regime are a metaphor for the Nazi soldiers during the Second World War. Lotso literally forces a group of toys that he doesn't like to be his slaves and do his bidding, and when they don't, he ends up sending them to a furnace to burn. Moreover, the daycare center they're in acts like an internment camp in Holocaust locations of the Second World War, as their real use was hidden from the public, much like the fact that the other toys don't know what they're in for when they enter the daycare center. The comparisons go on for miles, and I'm sure you already get the point. Toy Story is more than just a fun movie series about toys who come to life. It is a grim message wrapped in a fun delivery method and wrapped in a bow. It looks innocent, but it really is not. The darkest message in the films is even easier to spot. While the last dark message was incredibly dark, it unfortunately gets darker. The films are centered around a group of sentient toys and their everyday adventure struggling to live under the rule of humans. And I do say, as they are literally forced to go limp and be played with by children just for survival. Anyway, I'm a little surprised nobody questioned this. But isn't the fact that the toys instinctually hit the deck and play dead whenever a human walks in a little weird? Hear me out. If these toys are alive, which they clearly are, and they express emotions like jealousy, rage, joy, empathy, and love, which they also clearly do, doesn't that mean that they are as sentient as human beings? It does, right? I mean, they have relationships, Woody and Bo Peep, Buzz and Jessie, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. The list goes on. They have pets that are less intelligent, but are still living things like Bullseye. They make friendships and bonds like Buzz and Woody. The fact is, they clearly live their lives away from humans, as humans live their lives. So if that is the case, why have they become playthings? And why can't they be alive around humans? Why can't they live their lives and be as autonomous as we are if they have the same intelligence level and the same emotional ability? Seems kind of screwed up that they are forced against their will to be our playthings. I know some of you are thinking, well, why don't they just reveal themselves to the world? Why don't they show the world that they are actually alive and have been this entire time? This is where things get really dark. Toys can't reveal themselves if they want to live. While the solution to the problem the toys are having might seem as simple as just revealing themselves to humans, that would actually prove to be the worst thing they could possibly do, and here's why. In the second film, the villain, Stinky Pete, is adamant on becoming relevant again and not being stuck in a box forever. This clearly means that a toy's worst nightmare is being made irrelevant. They know that the only way they can continue to live a meaningful life is if they are valued by the human who owns them. They understand that once they become obsolete, they are banished to a life of solitude. Not only that, but this also means that toys will do literally anything to ensure that they are never made obsolete, so they chose to be the most enjoyable form of themselves to humans, which of course is inanimate objects who cannot refuse any task or desire. Toys live their life pleasing humans so that they can simply survive and not be forced into permanent confinement. Toys also have spent so long as inanimate objects in the minds of humans that they probably know that it would be literally literally impossible for them and humans to coexist at this point. Humans would never be able to respect toys on the same level as humans, and not only that, but what if the humans just simply refuse to let toys be anything else but toys? Now this throws a wrench in things because the toys would be knowingly forced into becoming playthings, or be thrown away or sent into their own personal hell, aka the closet or the toy chest, to never be played with again. This essentially means that the toys have accepted the fact that they will be lifelong slaves to humans and will forever be forced to do their bidding on the promise of getting to live another day, only to live that day as a slave. When you consider all of these facts, it is super easy to compare the toys to real-world slaves, isn't it? While it may be an extreme parallel for a children's film, it is impossible to ignore. While it is very dark to say that these films were made to portray a vision of slavery in our world, it is obviously true, and the nature of the film is just too on the nose to not be a metaphor, right? Knowing that the films are meant to show a less direct version of slavery actually makes the plot of the first film much stronger. In the first movie, Woody starts out as Andy's favorite toy, but he quickly falls out of the #1 spot when Buzz Lightyear takes his place as Andy's favorite toy. The movie sees Woody become increasingly jealous of Buzz as he continues to win Andy's favor over him. While this is still a good plot for the movie without the obvious slavery metaphor, the plot actually gets a bit stronger if you watch the film with the metaphor in mind. Woody is not jealous of Buzz. He is genuinely terrified that if Buzz takes the place of best toy, it may kick Woody down the chain until he is eventually the toy that Andy no longer wishes to play with and is then thrown away or locked away. Meaning that Woody is not just fighting Buzz for Andy's affection, he is fighting Buzz to ensure his own survival. It kind of makes the villains in the other films not really seem like the villains anymore, right? I mean, Stinky Pete just wanted to be played with again, because without a human, his life is nothing. He can't do anything because a toy is good for nothing other than being played with. And as we discussed, a toy can't do anything else with their life, so if they aren't being played with, why be alive? Same with Lotso. He was voluntarily thrown away by his owner, even after he did everything he could to make her happy. So he has decided to try and be something without. Indeed, for Humans has decided to run this underground ring of terror where he's in charge rather than the humans. It is his way of being in charge of what he can control. And while his actions or intentions are incredibly evil, his motivation is much stronger when you view him through the lens of this metaphor. It is a scary metaphor to think about, but it is simply too obvious to not be true. The writers of the franchise knew what they were doing and they accomplished their goal eerily well. Good luck watching any Toy Story film the same way ever again.